Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads. The next Felicity story is Happy Birthday Felicity. Chapter 1, Springtime Promises. Felicity opened the kitchen window as wide as it would go and leaned toward the sunshine. The wind still had a whisper of winter in it, but the sun shone strong with the promise of springtime and the sky was clean, clear blue. It was spring cleaning day at the Merrimans. Felicity was in the kitchen scrubbing the big silver chocolate pot in a tub of sudsy water. Nan and William were helping her. That is, William was supposed to be helping. He was supposed to wash the wood stir that went in the chocolate pot. Instead, William was using the stir as if it were a drumstick. He was happily hitting the water to make it splash out of the tub. Outside the window, Felicity could see Mother and Rose airing mattresses from the beds in the household. They leaned on the mattresses against the kitchen garden fence to freshen them up in the spring sunshine. Felicity spoke to her mother through the open window. "Mother," she said, "since Grandfather will be here with us on my birthday this year, do you think we might have a little party?" Mrs. Merriman smiled at Felicity. "What sort of little party?" "Well," said Felicity as she thought, "it would be a small party, just our family and Ben. It would be a celebration of all of us being together and of spring." Felicity talked faster as her ideas poured out. "We could decorate the parlor with flowers. Grandfather loves flowers. I'm sure tulips and daffodils will be blooming in my garden by then. We could use my favorite plates and our best chocolate cups. Oh, and we could have a fancy cake on the glass pyramid and—" "Tarts," interrupted Nan. "Tarts and tarts and tarts," added William. "Yes, indeed," agreed Felicity. "Peach, blackberry, and raspberry tarts." Mother laughed. "Lissy," she said, "you are always ahead of yourself. Your thoughts run off away like wild ponies. You know 'tis days till Grandfather comes and weeks till your birthday." She helped Rose lift and turned one of the mattresses. "It's hard to believe you will be 10 this year, Lissy," she said. "Though you do grow as fast as a weed. Perhaps that what comes of being born in the spring." "I like having a birthday in the spring," said Felicity. "Everything is blossoming and growing. The whole world is starting life anew." "Aye," agreed Mrs. Merriman. "The springtime suits you. You were born sooner than I expected. You couldn't be born and start life new, as you say." She laughed. "You have been impatient and in a hurry ever since. Grandfather will be amazed to see how tall you've grown." "Me too," William said stoutly. "I'm taller too." "Oh, much taller," said Felicity. "We have lots of changes to show Grandfather. He hasn't even met Ben yet." Ben was the apprentice in Mr. Merriman's store. A small frown crossed Mrs. Merriman's face. Felicity realized her mother was afraid Ben might speak out in front of Grandfather. Ben did not think the colony should belong to the King of England anymore, but Grandfather was a strict loyalist. He would not take kindly to anyone who criticized the king. Felicity looked down at the silver chocolate pot. She gently rubbed it dry. "Do you think Grandfather will be angry that we don't drink tea anymore?" she asked her mother. To protest the tax the king had set on tea, Mr. Merriman had stopped selling tea in his store, and Merrimans had stopped drinking tea at home. "Will Grandfather mind drinking hot chocolate instead?" Mrs. Merriman shook off her troubled look. "No one would mind the chocolate poured from such a shiny pot," she said cheerfully. "Now take your weapon. 'Tis time for you to go to your lessons. Take off your wet apron. 'Tis time for you to go to your lessons at Miss Manderley's. Don't forget to stop at the house and fetch your hat. The spring will turn your nose quite pink." "Yes, Mother," said Felicity. She unpinned her apron and handed it to her mother. Then she skipped up to the house to tie herself for lessons. Felicity's best friend, Elizabeth, was waiting for her at the pasture behind the Wise stable. They often met there before lessons to visit the Wise mare and her new colt. Elizabeth was standing on the bottom rail of the fence, watching the horses across the pasture. When she saw Felicity, Elizabeth smiled. "Oh, good, here you are, Lissy," she said. "Do you mind, and do whistle make the horses come to us?" Felicity whistled. The mare trotted toward her, and the colt followed like a shy shadow. Elizabeth and Felicity pulled up a handful after handful of sweet spring grass and fed to the horses. Felicity giggled. The colt's tongue is so wet and rough. It tickles my hands. She wiped her hands with her handkerchief, but they were still rather sticky and quite green from the grass. I do love the horses, Felicity said later. She and Elizabeth were giving their hands a quick wash at the wise well. They make me think of my horse Penny. I hope Penny has not forgotten me. Elizabeth's blue eyes were serious. Penny has not forgotten you, she said. You saved her from that mean Mr. Nye who beat her. You were patient with her. You taught her to trust you. Now you trust her. Trust that she will love you. Trust that she will still love you. Trust that she will come back to you if she can. Someday she will, I'm sure. Felicity smiled at her friend. Elizabeth always spoke straight from her heart. The girls hurried along to their lessons. When they came to Miss Manderly's sunny parlor, they saw Elizabeth's older sister, Annabelle, was already there, looking very prim. Annabelle put on a pained expression when she saw them. She sniffed, then held her handkerchief to her nose. Felicity grinned. She supposed she and Elizabeth must smell a tad horsey after the visit to the pasture. Good day, young ladies, said Miss Manderly. Please be seated at the table. I've set up your needlework frames. Work quietly while Annabelle has her music lesson. Yes, Miss Manderly, said Elizabeth and Felicity. They sat at their needlework frames facing each other across the table. Felicity finally finished her sample of stitches at the end of the winter. When Miss Manderly said she was ready to move on to more difficult stitchery, Felicity was very pleased. She loved the wooden needlework frame that sat so prettily on the table in front of her. The frame held the lion taut while she made her stitches. A gentle spring breeze sprayed with the leaves outside the window. They seemed to dance with the soft music Miss Manderly was strumming on Annabelle's guitar. When Miss Manderly began to sing, it seemed to Felicity that she filled the room with color and light. Then Miss Manderly handed the guitar to Annabelle. Oh no! Felicity and Elizabeth looked at each other and tried not to grow, for now it was Annabelle's turn to play and sing. Horrible sounds filled the room and chased away all the beautiful music. When Annabelle played, the guitar sounded whiny, tiny, and twangy, and her singing was even worse. In spite of all my friends could say, young Colin stole my heart away, warbled Annabelle. Indeed, I wish someone would steal all of her away, Elizabeth whispered. She sings as if her stays are at least too tight. Felicity laughed softly, but secretly she was envious of Annabelle. She wished with all her heart she were old enough to learn to play the guitar, but she knew young ladies did not begin music lessons until they were 12 or 13 years old. Felicity looked at Annabelle's guitar out of the corner of her eyes. It was made of shiny wood, shaped like a half of hair with long, slender neck. Felicity hated to admit it, but Annabelle looked grown up and elegant when she held her guitar. Felicity held to strum the guitar and to touch the Lucius satin ribbon Annabelle had tied to it. When at last Annabelle stopped singing and playing, Felicity went over to her. Annabelle, she said, may I hold your guitar? Oh, dear me, no, said Annabelle. She held her guitar close to her. Papa just bought this guitar. It's very costly. You're far too... You simply may not touch it. Felicity flushed. Miss Manderly said, I am sure Felicity will be careful, Annabelle. Felicity started to hold out her hand. Annabelle pulled back as if she had seen a snake. Gracious me, she said. Look at your hands. They are green. They are filthy. Felicity glanced at her hands and quickly hid them behind her back. They were only a tiny bit grass stained. They were not filthy. I beg your pardon, Felicity said in a cold voice. She turned on her heel and stalked back to her chair. Snippy Annabelle. She could keep her precious guitar. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.